Hey everyone, and welcome to your C++ tutorial on loops and arrays. In this tutorial, we're going to go over how loops and arrays work well together. Arrays are lists of similar data, and loops are sort of an iterative programming structure that can perform the same operation over and over again. And together, these two concepts are very powerful. All right, so let's jump into it. We're going to begin by deleting our hello world instruction here. And we're going to need to use our standard library namespace. In our main method here, as you know, when you create an array, we need a length of the array. And so let's begin by just creating that length of the array. The nice thing about keeping the length of your array as a separate variable is that when it comes time to make a for loop or some type of loop, you know how many elements are in it. So let's create an integer, and we'll say the list length is equal to 5. Awesome. Now let's create our array. So it's going to be a grocery list. So let's create an array of strings to represent each grocery item. So we'll say string, we'll call our array list groceries, and we will set the length of our groceries equal to list length. Awesome. So now there's a lot of ways that you can initialize an array with elements. The most convenient, I think, is like this, where you put all of your list elements, or your array elements, in between these two curly braces. For the sake of thoroughness, I'm just going to access each element by using the index. So we're not going to do this. We are going to access groceries. For its first element, we will add, say, bread. For our second element, we will put milk. For our third element, we will say celery. I don't drink milk, and I don't really eat celery, so I don't know who these are for, but it's not me. Our fourth element, we will say eggs. And our fifth element, we'll say pork chops. Okay, awesome. So we have our array of groceries. So now let's create a loop that can loop through and print these groceries out. All right, so we'll create a for loop. So to do that, we'll use our keyword for, and you can see it's auto-filled some of our the things we need here. So we're going to create an integer I here, and we'll set it equal to 0. So that integer is going to be our index that we're going to use in our array, and we're going to keep it less than our list length here. And every time we finish an iteration of the loop, we are going to increment I. So I will always be less than 0 once I will always be less than our list length. Once I equals our list length, we'll exit the loop. So we will go from 0 all the way till 4, which will be for each element of the array. So what we can do is inside of our array, we can print out groceries, and we'll just pass in I as our index. And I'm going to finish it with an end line, so we get a separate line for each one. So what's going to happen is we start our for loop with the I variable. It's equal to 0. As long as I is less than our list length, which is 5. So as long as I is less than 5, we're going to continue through the loop. Every time we finish running the loop, we're going to add 1 to I using our I++ operator. We'll increment I. So we'll start out with 0. We'll print out the 0 element, or the first element of our groceries list, which is bread, right? Then we'll check to see is I less than list length. Is it less than 5? It is. So we'll increment it. We'll increment it and then we'll check. And then we'll run the loop again for 1, which is milk. We'll go for 2, 3, 4, until finally I is equal to 5. That will exit our loop and it'll finish our program. So let's compile this and let's run it. And there you have it. It prints out everything as we should see it: bread, milk, celery, eggs, pork chops, right here. Perfect. So this has been an example of how arrays and loops work together. The big thing here is using this I index to increment through our groceries list. That's kind of the secret sauce here. We know that our list length, which is 5, we used that to initialize our array. So we know we get 5 elements. And so we can also use it down here as the limit for our for loop. Then we use our I index that we've created for our for loop, and we pass it into groceries to grab each element and print it. Awesome. So this is sort of a basic introduction to how arrays and loops can work together. Thanks.